The Duchess of Sussex was there talking about, the women's fight for equity at the, Foundation for Women's annual gala. And now we hear what happened afterwards. They were essentially chased through the streets of New York. And, looking at this statement, guys, I mean, it is pretty terrifying. I mean, it says here, the chase could have been fatal. It involved half a dozen blacked out vehicles with unidentified people driving recklessly and, quote, endangering the convoy and everyone around them. It also lists a number of violations, which include driving on the sidewalk, running red lights, reversing down a one-way street, and on and on and on. It also says that the individuals involved were confronted by uniformed police multiple times and that they continued to speed off and continue to pursue this convoy that the Duke and Duchess were in. Now, the family say that they were staying at a private residence. They did not want to compromise the security of their friend's home. But when there was footage taken from security, or rather they say that they have footage that supports this timeline and these circumstances. But again, I think the one thing that's really standing out is the phrase, quote, near catastrophic. Mm-hmm. And the reason that phrase sticks out is, of course, we can all remember 1997 and what happened to Prince Harry's mother, Princess Diana, as she was chased by paparazzi in Paris and lost her life in a Paris tunnel. Prince Harry has talked at length about how, of course, that would be traumatizing for anybody, let alone a 10-year-old boy who lost his mother, and how throughout his life this particularly poisonous relationship with the paparazzi was something that he deeply feared, and it was a fear that he had for his family as well. And now we have this near catastrophic experience that he's had with the paparazzi in New York.
We should also point out, Imtiaz, as you know, that the statement is coming to us from a spokesperson for the Sussexes, and when they say near catastrophic, they don't say for whom. We assume that they're talking about the Sussexes, but when they, in the statement, reference pedestrians and a New York Police Department officer, too, in fact, who may have possibly been involved in harm's way, one might also wonder if the near catastrophe was for those pedestrians or for the New York police officers who might have been perhaps in harm's way. So I just want to throw that out there because near catastrophe, it doesn't say to the Sussexes in the statement. It says it's just sort of a general statement.
I mean, and I think the Sussexes would probably argue the fact that anybody could potentially be hurt or harmed because of the actions of paparazzis is catastrophic, right? It's dangerous. I think the bottom line is this, is that, rarely do we have statements like this, certainly from senior members of the royals. And of course, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are very distinct from the royal family, as it were, when it comes to sharing their experiences, particularly at the hands of the paparazzi, at the hands of the press. It's obviously something that they've spoken to at length. In fact, if anything, we can even go even further than that. It's the reason why they step back as working members of the royal family. And it also, if we want to expand the aperture even wider, Prince Harry is involved in a number of legal cases here in the UK, and part of it has to do with his concerns about how the paparazzi would treat him and his family, specifically their safety, whenever they are in the UK. In fact, he's involved in legal cases involving the Home Office, which is, the domestic sort of government body here that looks at internal security and that sort of thing, basically saying, hey, I will pay British police to protect me and my family when we're here in the UK. And they're saying, no, we're not going to do that. You're not a working member of the royal family. And this has now become a lawsuit. And the reason he doesn't want private security and wants to have security that is provided by the Home Office is because that's the very same security that is used to protect his father, the king, his brother, the second in line, or the first in line to the throne, Prince William. These are people who are highly trained to protect members of the royal family. And so this is something that is very clearly on Prince Harry's mind. It's very clearly something of deep concern. As we were saying earlier, we can only look to his own past, look what happened to his mother to underscore why he feels this way and why he feels so strongly. And now we have this very detailed statement from yes, the Sussexes describing an incident that took place last night, and them going as far as is saying that there is security footage to support this timeline of evidence and circumstances. And one would imagine if they are saying that they will be providing that information. They'll certainly be asked for it. And of course, we do need to hear from the New York police. What do they have to say about it? They are referenced a number of times in this statement. Again, as you rightly pointed out, Vlad, that this near catastrophic incident involved New York Police Department officers. And if that is the case, these are pretty serious allegations.
Yeah, definitely. MTS, thank you very much.
Thanks for jumping on this, MTS. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Well, President Biden and congressional leaders could be inching closer and closer to a deal on the debt ceiling. We're following the negotiations, so stay with us. You're streaming CBS News.
An original documentary from CBS reports. Controversial Congressman George Santos.
Why won't you answer our questions?
How did he manage to get elected?
Thank you very much, and God bless you, and God bless the USA.
George Santos' campaign was a campaign of deceit, lies, fabrication.
And who is he, really?
I knew him as Anthony DeVolder from Queens.
Really, who he is, he's a fraud.
I compare him to the Tinder swindler.
From people who know him, the truth, the facts, the lies.
He would say that he was worth $100 million.
It's an incredibly cynical episode in American politics, beyond satire.
Had you ever seen anything like this?
No, and I hope I never see it again.
Campaign of Deceit, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
She dazzled on the court and off the court as a businesswoman.
Thank you for joining us on Person to Person. Tennis superstar and entrepreneur, Serena Williams.
An original CBS Reports documentary.
I asked my students, what are we going to do about racism in the United States?
The backlash over teaching about racism in American schools.
I don't think it has any place in the classroom.
We can either pretend and say, no, we're not racist and we're all great people, or we can actually start to do the really, really hard work of addressing it.
How did you lose your job?
I made the statement that white privilege is a fact.
Is it helping diversity and inclusion?
When you bring in different people's stories and experience, it enriches education.
If you don't talk about something, it doesn't go away.
Or driving us further apart?
What schools are doing to our children in the name of anti-racism is in fact teaching them racism.
The intention is to put us in this war against each other.
An original CBS Reports documentary, streaming now. An original CBS Reports documentary.
I was entitled to equal pay for equal work under the law.
Does the Supreme Court's power need to be checked?
9 Supreme Court justices, 5 of them said no, she's not entitled. That's not right.
Calls to fix the court tend to go along with the politics of the moment.
Republican-appointed justices have all tended to go in one direction, with the Democratic-appointed justices tending to go in another.
Even though it's only 9 justices, it takes 5 of them to make the law of the land.
Does it have political impact? True. Political intent? Probably not true.
If the American people don't trust the judgment of their court, that's a real problem for our democracy.
An original CBS Reports documentary, streaming now.
On our places, bright shiny faces.
When you wake up in the morning, we want to be your go-to team.
I don't go to work in the morning. I go for coffee with my 2 good friends, and we talk about the world.
Welcome back to CBS News. Here's a quick recap of some of the big stories we're following for you this morning. NBA star Ja Morant is speaking out after he was suspended again for another video that appears to show him holding a gun. In a statement, the Grizzlies guard took full accountability for his actions. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver told ESPN an investigation is underway. Morant was previously suspended for 8 games in March after video surfaced of him holding a handgun in a Denver nightclub.
A 12-week ban on nearly all abortions will become law in North Carolina. The Republican-controlled General Assembly overturned Governor Roy Cooper's veto of the ban last night. The bill takes effect July 1st.
President Biden is canceling part of his overseas trip in the hopes of reaching a debt ceiling deal. He met with top congressional Republicans at the White House for close to an hour yesterday, but time is running out. The administration says hitting the debt ceiling on June 1st would be a disaster for the economy.
All right, so mortgage rates have been on the rise, and it's leading to a reduction in the number of homes on the market and, of course, therefore, home sales. Right now, a 30-year fixed mortgage rate would come in at just over 6%. So that's more than double what it was just 3 years ago. Let's bring in Rachel Siegel. She's an economic policy reporter for the Washington Post. So we've been talking a lot